therefore nominate Honorable Tajuddin Abbas.
I so second.
I rise to humbly accept the nomination.
Is hereby declared the winner and returned elected as the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
The government obviously has done its job, studied the situation, and come to the conclusion.
House approves 500 billion naira request by the President for subsidy palliatives.
Despite this exorbitant amount, Mr. Speaker, pilgrims were stranded.
And lawmakers to investigate the hardship experienced by Nigerian pilgrims in the just concluded 2023 Hajj exercise. A warm welcome to this edition of House Tickets, your weekly window into the activities of your elected representatives sitting in the green chambers of the National Assembly, Abuja. My name is Dihelia Mamza. It's good to be with you. This episode of the program reviews plenary of Tuesday 11th to Thursday 13th of July 2023 with bills and motions debated. Details of this report coming up shortly. Stay with us.
I want to assure you today that I shall be just and fair to every one of you, irrespective of perceived differences.
House Tickets starts with several reports considered by lawmakers during the week under review. Soon after the Speaker, Representative Tajuddin Abbas was ushered into the Green Chamber to start proceedings for the week. The House went into an executive session that lasted about 1.5 hours. Details of what happened behind closed doors was not made public at the time of filing this report.
So please, members of the press and those on the gallery, please excuse us for some few minutes.
We, however, have a report on what transpired during plenary proceedings in the last 1 week. The report is compiled and presented from our studio.
Representative Aliu Sani Madaki on Tuesday 11th of July 2023 moved a motion on a call to suspend the implementation of increase in tuition fees of universities.
The increase could cause disruptions for a number of students who could not afford the fees, while many of them could be forced to depart their studies. Others could drop out. Worried that the hike may aggravate the already volatile situation in the country, as students are already making threats which could lead to an uprising with grievous consequences for the country as a whole. Also worried that an increased rate of university dropout may further worsen insecurity in Nigeria, as the frustrated student may find the wrong outlet to express their grievances.
The resolutions taken on the motion include: urge the National Universities Commission to immediately halt implementation of the increase of fees by federal universities, mandate the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services, when constituted, to investigate the increase of fees by federal universities across the country with a view to finding lasting solutions to the challenge in the tertiary education sector. The motion was voted on, adopted, and referred to the House Committee on Tertiary Education when constituted.
Motions. The second motion has been referred to the Committee on Tertiary Education.
Representative Akintunde Rotimi moved a motion on the need for the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board examination result to be valid for 3 years. This was on Wednesday, the 12th of July, 2023.
In the 9th Assembly, our honorable senior colleague, Honorable Tolulope Akonde Shadipe, APC Oyo had moved a similar motion and even followed up with a bill that was stalled in the second reading. Mr. Speaker, I believe that the act currently establishing JAMB, there's nothing in that act that restricts it from taking immediate action, even without an amendment to the act.
Several resolutions were taken on the matter, which include urge JAMB to rethink and allow its result to be valid for at least 3 years and conduct the entry exams at least twice annually. Also urge the Federal Minister of Education to put mechanisms in place to ensure that the resolutions are executed. The motion was voted on, adopted, and referred to the ad hoc committee when constituted.
Thank you.
Representative Ahmed Idris Wasi, alongside Representative Stanley Olajide, moved the motion on Thursday, the 13th of July 2023, on the need to investigate the hardship faced by Nigerian pilgrims at the just concluded 2023 Hajj.
Oversubscription leaving Nigerian pilgrims sleeping on the roads, under bridges, nearby mosques. There are cases of several public officials, such as president and former governors, senators, House of Rep members, and dignitaries, who had no tent and were made to sleep on unhealthy places and conditions. Further note that the VIP pilgrims were made to pay $5,000 US, 8,000 riyals, for 18,000 riyals for VIP tents. And despite this exorbitant amount, Mr. Speaker, pilgrims were stranded while others got tents of lesser value that they paid for.
The resolutions taken on the motion was to mandate the Committee on Pilgrims Affairs, when constituted, to conduct a detailed investigation into the several anomalies that emanated from the 2023 Hajj and report back to the House within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Also mandate the Committee on Legislative Compliance, when constituted, to ensure implementation. The motion was voted on, adopted, and referred to the House Committee on Pilgrims Affairs and that on Legislative Compliance when constituted.
Those should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it.
You are still on to House Ticket, a weekly program that keeps you up to speed on the activities of your lawmakers elected into the legislature. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has written to the House on Wednesday, 12 July 2023, seeking amendments to the 2022 Supplementary Act. The amendment, he said, was to allow the federal government to source 500 billion naira for palliatives to cushion the effect of subsidy removal on Nigerians. To start with, the House took the first reading of the bill seeking amendments to the 2022 Supplementary Act.
To authorize the issuance of the sum of 500 billion naira only from the 2022 supplementary appropriations of 819 billion, the first reading.
Having passed first reading, the bill on the same day scaled second reading.
To enable us to take this as second reading, I so move.
A bill for an act to authorize the issuance of the sum of 500 billion naira only from the 2022 supplementary appropriations of 819 billion 536 million 937,815 naira only for the provision of palliatives to Nigerians to cushion the effects of fuel subsidy removal. Being an executive bill, it stood in the name of the House Leader, Representative Julius Inhovere.
Clearly, we have a government that listens because we've been through our history and we know what happened in the past. The government obviously has done its job, studied the situation, and come to the conclusion that there was a need to respond to Nigerians so that we can not solve all the problems in one full swoop, but provide some support to men, women, families, communities, and constituencies so that they can weather the difficult terrain that we find ourselves in today.
The bill enjoyed the support of lawmakers.
For the first time, I see an executive that is ready to listen and also provide for the needs of common Nigerians. I hate to use the word common because often too much times we think these people have no rights. But with this subsidy removal and provision to reduce their suffering, Mr. Speaker, this is indeed a wonderful day.
I think we must go a step further. What is going to be the nature of the palliatives? Nigerians cannot feed 3 square meals a day. The average Nigerian, as I speak, the middle class is almost wiped out because of the cost of living. The poor and the middle class. How is this 500 billion going to help our businesses? But if we're not talking about businesses and we're talking about individuals, how are we going to identify the most pressing needs of Nigerians?
As a parliament, we should do our job, which is to oversight the funds when they are released.
I believe and have confidence in Mr. President. He has demonstrated his capabilities in Lagos and in his own business life. I do want to believe that he's not going to joke with this either.
I believe as parliamentarian, we should quickly do the needful so that our constituents will enjoy the dividend of democracy. Yes, we support this. Yes, let us allow this to pass. But we must be very vigilant in course of implementation and execution of the palliative. We do not want to see 5,000 naira handed to Nigerians on the streets in form of palliative. Palliative should be meaningful.
The bill was referred to the Committee of Supply for consideration.
Committee of Supply.
To expedite action, the House dissolved into the Committee of Supply to consider the bill. The session was presided over by the Speaker, Representative Tajuddin Abbas. In summary, the House voted and approved clauses 1 to 3.
The effect of the removal of fuel subsidy in Nigeria. Carried.
The House reverted to plenary, where the Speaker, Representative Tajuddin Abbas, reported progress, after which the reports were adopted.
I will now call on the leader to move for the adoption of this bill.
For the adoption of the report of plenary, as ably stated by the Speaker, I so move.
The lawmakers further expedited action on the bill and passed it for third reading.
Can you move for the third reading of this bill?
Rise to move that a bill for an act to authorize the issuance of the sum of 500 billion naira only from the 2022 supplementary appropriations.
Thank you. I put the question. Those in support of this motion be read for the third time should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. The bill read for the fourth, second, and third time read and passed.
The House earlier on the same day received a letter from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on request for additional funds through the loan scheme from the World Bank secured by the previous administration, scheduled for carrying out the National Safety Net program, scaled up by the National Assembly to aid poor and vulnerable Nigerians.
It is expected that the program will stimulate economic activity in the formal sector and improve nutrition, health, and education outcomes for beneficiary households. Given the above, I wish to invite the House of Representatives to kindly grant approval for the loan facility of 800 million USD, United States dollars, to be secured from the World Bank for the National Social Safety Net program.
The program is still house tickets. Up ahead is our last report. Speaker of the 10th House, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, was hosted to a grand reception by his constituents in his hometown, Zaria, to mark his election as the Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives. Let's get details of what transpired there. Keep watching.
The Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, visited his constituency Zaria to celebrate his emergence as the Speaker of the 10th Assembly. This was on Saturday, 15th of July 2023. The visit was the first since he assumed the office of number 4 citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on 13th June 2023. The Speaker, who holds the royal title of Ian Zazzau, was received by a mammoth crowd in Zaria who sang songs of joy to celebrate one of their sons as the Speaker of the House. The Speaker, who is representing Zaria Federal Constituency for the 4th term, was accompanied by more than 50 members of the Green Chamber across party and regional lines from different states of the country. First paid homage to the Emir of Zazzau, His Royal Highness Malang Ahmed Nuhu Bamali, in his palace. He was well received by the Emir alongside other traditional title holders from Zazzau Emirate Council. Speaking at the occasion, the Honorable Speaker thanked Zazzau Emirate and his constituents for giving him the opportunity to represent them. He also appreciates his colleagues in the House for the support he enjoyed from them.
Our scholars and all the sons and daughters of Zaria constituency who supported us when we were campaigning for election. We told them our intention to contest for the speakership if elected. For the past 3 years, when we were doing public hearing on constitutional amendment across the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, Your Highness, your contribution to include the roles of traditional rulers in the constitution is noted. Thanks be to Allah for the opportunity today. With your son as the Speaker of the 10th Assembly, who is also a member of the traditional institution, I want to assure you, Your Highness, and all my colleagues with this background like Abu Samad Dasuki, here with us, that we will use the opportunity to reintroduce the subject and seek support from other lawmakers to ensure that the bill is passed.
He also reiterates the commitment of the Green Chamber under his watch to ensure that traditional rulers have constitutional roles, which he says has become very necessary due to the critical roles traditional rulers play in the society, and calls for their recognition and inclusion in the 1999 Constitution.
For the past 3 years, when we were doing public hearing on constitutional amendment across the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, Your Highness, your contribution to include the roles of traditional rulers in the constitution is noted. Thanks be to Allah for the opportunity today. With your son as the Speaker of the 10th Assembly, who is also a member of the traditional institution, I want to assure you, Your Highness, and all my colleagues with this background like Abu Samad Dasuki, here with us, that we will use the opportunity to reintroduce the subject and seek support from other lawmakers to ensure that the bill is passed.
In his remarks, the Emir of Zazzau, His Royal Highness Malang Ahmed Nuhu Bamali, assured the Speaker of the Emirate's support and also thanked him and his entourage for the visit, urging the lawmakers to accord speedy consideration to the Emirates bill that is before the National Assembly.
I'm calling on you not just here. The Emirate bill before the National Assembly should be reintroduced and make sure it is passed before returning it to Sultan of Sokoto. This is what we want. Santuraki and others are there too. Let them return and tell us that the bill is passed.
Giving his vote of thanks, the Speaker, Kaduna State House of Assembly, Honorable Dahir Liman, appreciates Zazzau Emirates for the reception accorded the Honorable Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, saying that the Speaker will be proud of the people of Zaria and Nigeria at large.
Your Highness, my brother and our leader here spoke a lot. I thank you, Your Highness, for the reception accorded us by the Emirate. We equally thank you for the favors and prayers received right from the campaign period to this moment.
Speaker Tajuddin Abbas later held stakeholders meeting with notable individuals in his constituency, where he thanked his constituents for their support over the years and sought their prayers to succeed. As part of the celebrations, a reception was held and attended by a cross-section of dignitaries from Zaria, among them prominent Islamic scholars who pray for the Honorable Speaker to succeed. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the House, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, has said that the Nigerian Parliament is ready to strengthen the existing ties between Nigeria and Switzerland in order to improve the bilateral relationships between the two countries. He stated this when he hosted the Swiss ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Nicholas Lang, at his office in the National Assembly on Wednesday, 12 July 2023. Speaker Abbas was happy to note that Nigeria is the biggest petroleum supplier to Switzerland, describing it as a good development.
It is a good beginning, and I believe we can build on that. We can do much more. There are so many things that we can be able to benefit from your country. Likewise, there are so many aspects that Nigeria can also be able to contribute to Switzerland. So let us all put our thinking caps, see how we can be able to consolidate on the already successful relationship we have. We here are very willing and ready to support any initiative from the Switzerland government on how to strengthen our legislature and all other sectors.
The Speaker also congratulated Switzerland on its recent appointment in the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. Speaking earlier, the Swiss ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Nicholas Lang, noted the importance of his host country to Switzerland and called for stronger bilateral relationship between Nigeria and his country.
The idea is to strengthen our relationships, and that of course goes for all institutions, not only the executive, very much also the Parliament, the Senate on the one hand, and the House of Representatives. What we would like to do is to also strengthen the relationship between parliaments, meaning that Nigerian parliamentarians will hopefully visit Switzerland and get to know their counterparts, and the other way around, to strengthen their cooperation. We consider this important, so as to make sure that on our part, people also in Parliament have a better understanding of what your country is about.
Mr. Lang stressed the need for stronger ties and harmonious working relationship between the two countries so that they can benefit from one another. Also present during the visit were the Deputy Speaker of the House, Representative Benjamin Kalu, alongside other principal officers of the 10th House. Highlight of the visit was the presentation of souvenirs to the Speaker by the Swiss ambassador.
That will inspire you to come for a visit to the capital of Switzerland, which is Bern.
We shall keep you abreast of developments and events as they unfold in the Green Wing of the National Assembly. For now, we draw the curtains on the program. Do send in your questions and comments for your elected representatives and catch up on our previous episodes of the program on any of our social media platforms showing on your screen. Stay safe and bye for now.